Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. My name is Ram Villivalam. I am the State Senator for the 8th District in the state of Illinois. I want to thank my colleagues for finding the time during this busy week of the legislative session to join us for this special announcement. Today, we are proud to announce the creation of the Illinois Assyrian Caucus. Approximately 80,000 Assyrian Americans live throughout the state of Illinois, with 21 civic organizations and 13 churches serving the community. The 8th State Senate District, which is the district I represent, is home to one of the largest Assyrian American communities in the state. Over the past few years, I've had the opportunity to really get to know the community and learn about their culture, their history, their traditions. That's why I am honored to stand before you today to be the co-chair of the Illinois Assyrian Caucus. This caucus will be an opportunity for my colleagues and I to learn more about the Assyrian community, the challenges they face, and how we can help them meet these challenges. It'll also provide an opportunity for members of the Assyrian American community to be engaged and get even more engaged in our legislative process down in Springfield and otherwise. As of this morning, 18 of my colleagues from both houses and both sides of the aisle have agreed to be founding members of this caucus. And I just want to note that my co-chair, Representative Jennifer Gong-Gershowitz, could not be here today. However, she shares my commitment and our commitment here to stand up on behalf of the Assyrian American communities and work with them to meet the needs of those residents. And so with that, I will just say that I'm joined by a few leaders of the Assyrian American community here today who would like to say a few words. First off, the main speaker is Artur Sargon, who is a Village of Lincolnwood trustee and vice chair of the Assyrian Policy Institute. Trustee Sargon, sorry.
Thank you, Senator. Good morning, everyone. Or as we would say in Assyrian, Qadam Tochon Barkhta. I am honored to be here and offer remarks on behalf of the Assyrian Policy Institute, and more importantly, as a proud member of the Assyrian American community in Illinois. Illinois is often referred to as the capital of the Assyrian diaspora, so it's only fitting that the first ever state-level caucus organized around Assyrian issues be formed here in Springfield. I'd like to begin by expressing our community's collective gratitude to our co-chairs, Senator Ram Villivalam and Representative Jennifer Gong-Gershowitz, whose unprecedented and steadfast leadership has furthered understanding and awareness of Assyrian American issues. We thank you both for your advocacy and your efforts to establish this caucus, and more broadly, for your outstanding leadership in advancing the interests of Assyrian American community members in Illinois. I'd also like to take the opportunity to thank the founding members of the Illinois Assyrian Caucus, which includes Senators Sarah Feigenholz, Laura Fine, Adrian Johnson, Laura Murphy, Mike Simmons, Selena Villanueva, and Cristina Castro, as well as Representatives Kelly Cassidy, Deb Conroy, Amy Grant, Maura Hirschauer, Michael Kelly, Lindsay LaPointe, Michelle Mussman, Mark Walker, and a very special thank you to my state rep, Denise Wang-Stonebeck. We are truly pleased to see so many of our representatives committed to the growth and advancement of the Assyrian American community in Illinois. We thank you for your leadership and support. Lastly, we'd like to recognize Vitan Hasku, Chief of Staff in the Office of Senator Villivalam, and Liam Harding, Chief of Staff in the Office of Jennifer Gong-Gershowitz, whose efforts were instrumental to the establishment of this caucus. The state of Illinois is home to a vibrant Assyrian American community, which is in turn deeply and vitally embedded in the greater Illinois community. Assyrians have been part of Illinois history since the late 1800s. For more than a century, our state has welcomed Assyrian immigrants fleeing genocide, war, and oppression, seeking conditions of safety and equality. Today, more than 80,000 Assyrian Americans proudly call this great state home. We are a community of immigrants, refugees, and genocide survivors. And at the same time, we are neighbors, business owners, doctors, educators, veterans, Chicago Bears fans, and so much more. In their countries of origin, Assyrians have had a long history of being marginalized and denied representation, suffering persecution, and enduring political oppression. With that view, today is also a symbolic moment for our community and sends a powerful message. In Illinois, Assyrian voices aren't being silenced. They're being uplifted and they're being heard. The formation of the Illinois Assyrian Caucus speaks to the growing influence of the Assyrian community and is a welcome development. We are thrilled to have such a dynamic coalition of dedicated public servants committed to our community, and we're confident that this initiative will lead to increased understanding of our unique needs and priorities and heightened visibility for Assyrian Americans across Illinois. We look forward to working with members of the caucus to advance critical policy priorities, especially in overcoming the tremendous challenges faced by our community in accessing cultural resources, retaining our ancient language, and sustaining our heritage. Likewise, we look forward to the caucus's work to assure the passage of Senate Joint Resolution 21, which would make Illinois the fourth U.S. state to formally recognize the Assyrian genocide. It's essential for legislators and the general public to learn and appreciate the history and impact of Assyrian Americans. Illinois' history and heritage is as vibrant and colorful as the people that make up its communities. The diversity of culture and thought that the Assyrian community brings to Illinois continues to enrich our entire state. Today is a historic step and a reminder to celebrate all that the Assyrian American community has contributed to the state of Illinois. We are optimistic that this caucus will ensure the legislature stays informed of the concerns and needs of the Assyrian American community, and that the legislation adopted by the Illinois General Assembly provides for the full participation of Assyrian Americans. We encourage members of the General Assembly who represent Assyrian Americans to join the Illinois Assyrian Caucus. We look forward to engaging the caucus on key issues to share our community's perspectives and insights and to highlight opportunities for progress. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Sargon. And I just want to note, Trustee Sargon had mentioned the members that have joined already. I want to note for the record, Senator Simmons, Senator Murphy, Representative Walker, Senator Johnson. Just want to appreciate them being here. Do any of you all want to say a few words?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yes, I'll be brief. I'm Mark Walker from the 53rd rather. Arlington Heights, Mount Prospect. The reason I was attracted to this is that there are many Assyrian American leaders in my community. They are at all levels. They form businesses, they're professionals, they are leaders. They're the best among us. And the other thing that attracts me is that I have found that people who come to America and have an ancient history and hang on to it and are victims of genocide become, in fact, the best American citizens. The immigrants, especially these immigrants, are the best of us, and we should hang on to that. Thanks.
Morning, I'm Laura Murphy. I represent the 28th Senate District, which is O'Hare West. And that is a wonderful corridor of all kinds of immigrants, and particularly Assyrian. And we want to do everything we can to make sure that that community is assimilated into the northwest suburbs and that everyone feels welcome. And to form this caucus, it helps us highlight some of the issues that are concerning to the community, and we can make sure that they have the representation that we want to ensure they do. And it's created a wonderful environment for great neighbors, and we look forward to this caucus furthering any issues that might come up for the community that helps them. Thank you.
Hi, good morning, everybody. I'm Mike Simmons, pronouns he, his, State Senator for the 7th District, which is far north side of Chicago, Uptown, Edgewater, Rogers Park, Lincoln Square, West Ridge. And what attracted me to this, I grew up around Foster and Lincoln in Chicago, and I've just had countless numbers of friends from when I was a little kid until recently that are Assyrian American. If you're from the north side of Chicago, if you're from Chicago, and you've lived there your whole life, you know Assyrians. And so I commend Senator Villivalam for getting this started. I think it's a great idea. I'm the son of an Ethiopian refugee, and so we share that shared history of coming to this country and thriving in this place. And so I think that this caucus is such a great idea. I'm looking forward to working with the Assyrian American community and allies of this community to lift up your issues, to lift up your history. I think it's so important that we, as newer Americans, hang on to our history, because it's something that people often take for granted. And Assyrian American history is very compelling, and we should talk about it, we should name it, and we should make sure that the next generation knows it and is proud of it. So thank you so much. I'm looking forward to working with all of you.
Good morning. I am Senator Adrian Johnson from the 30th Legislative District. That's near the Wisconsin border, Waukegan all the way down to Wheeling, Illinois. What attracted me to this caucus is I have experience living in Rogers Park and in Evanston and Buffalo Grove and throughout the community, and have had many Assyrian neighbors and coworkers and business owners who have been a part of the Chamber of Commerce, in which I was on the board and a part of. And like my colleague said, we want to make sure we lift up everyone's voice and make sure we build on Illinois' legacy of being one of the most welcoming states in this nation. And so I look forward to lifting up the issues and being a part of making sure voices of Assyrians are heard and key policy priorities are also addressed. So thank you and welcome, and I'm so glad, Senator Villivalam, for the opportunity to be a part of this caucus.
I just wanted to share the community with everyone here. And the reality is the community is everywhere in Illinois. We counted the organizations and churches mentioned. There are at least 10 state senate districts that there's a presence, and obviously 20 plus state representative districts. So we're proud to announce this today. Proud to stand 18 strong, and we want to get to all 177 in the Illinois General Assembly. And I do want to know for the record that the work has already begun. We were able to secure census funding for the community to make sure every Assyrian American was counted during that process. We've worked with the community to speak with local school districts to include the Assyrian language as part of their curriculum, and so much more. So we look forward to continuing that work. And then just wanted to see if there's any questions.
Can you speak to some of the challenges that the community faces and how this caucus looks to kind of uplift those issues and address those issues?
Sure. I'll speak, and has been mentioned from my colleagues, and I'll then hand it over to Atour. I think the hardest challenge that any immigrant faces when they come to this country is the balance of assimilating and learning the language and the culture and the traditions here, while also keeping the language and culture and traditions from their home country. And I think, especially with regards to the Assyrian community, given the unfortunate and tragic history of genocide, I think it's even more important that we work on that. And so, for example, I know that the Atour, Rain, and others are working with school districts to make sure that there's an opportunity at some point to include Assyrian as a language that's taught. Speaking as a son of Indian immigrants, I know how to speak 2 Indian languages at home. I do not know how to read or write, because that's just not something that we were able to do, my family and I were able to do when we came here. Because again, it's balancing, making sure we learn English, making sure we're assimilating. So I think for me, that's how I look at our role as the caucus, is working with the community to ensure that their voice is heard and they have a seat at the table and when we have policy discussions. Atour?
Thank you, Senator Villivalam. I believe you covered a lot of the main points, really assimilation. As you mentioned, we've been working really closely with some of the local school districts and our contacts at ISB to include Assyrian as a world language, to add it to the course catalog so it could be offered in our local districts, although we are, of course, looking to make sure that we have the resources that our community needs. It's really important to the community to retain part of our culture, and language is very important to us, especially since we don't have a country of origin, and so it's important for us to retain that language as part of our culture. So you spoke to that a bit, and then I mentioned in my remarks Illinois Senate Joint Resolution 21, which recognizes the Assyrian genocide. That is a very meaningful piece of legislation that we would hope to pursue in the coming year as part of our community's top priorities.
Thank you. Any other questions?
Could you talk about the, we're now with the war with Russia and Ukraine right now, and a lot of refugees, a lot of attention given to refugees in that area, and we know there's wars in different areas and refugees in other areas. Could you talk about how this, if the timing is anything related to that, or just kind of talk about the timing of your of this announcement of this?
Well, obviously, we're thinking of those in Ukraine at all times during this unfortunate period that they're in. I think this caucus was formed and has been in the process of being formed for a couple years now, right? We've been building up to ensuring that people are in the General Assembly and the Assyrian Americans that live in our state understand the legislative process, want to be more engaged. You know, just as an example, as Atour mentioned, the Senate Joint Resolution 21 that recognizes the Assyrian genocide, over the last few years, it's gotten thousands of signatures from Assyrian American community members in support. You know, and so working again, because that alone, you know, some people may look at it and say that's a resolution, but to the community, it's incredibly important to acknowledge that genocide happened. You know, and I think that's a testament to that. This has been a process for the last few years, and we look forward to continuing that and moving forward. Any other questions? Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
Yeah. Where do you want to? Should we do it up?
Wherever you want to